the greatest investment that you'll ever make isn't stocks, real estate, Bitcoin, or even infinite banking. It's your ability to think independently. Think for yourself. Because once you learn how to think about money, you'll never have to rely on someone else to think for you. Hello, my loves. Welcome back to another episode of the Money Multiplier podcast. I'm your host, Hannah Kesler, and we ask ourselves, do our dollars make sense? Y'all, I am here every Tuesday with a new podcast episode. So if you would join me, hit the subscribe button, rate the show, let me know your thoughts. Leave a comment down below, like the video too. It would help your girl out. And if you don't want to wait every Tuesday for a new podcast episode, hey, come and join my live streams. I go live every Thursday, 9 a.m. Eastern time for Money Mornings with Hannah. And you can catch that on YouTube and all of my social media platforms, honestly. So go give my other channels a follow, Hannah_Kesler. Hannah spelled the same way forwards as backwards, Kesler with one S. But super excited for today because we are going to stream a little differently than what we normally talk about here on the pod, which is the infinite banking concept, becoming your own banker. I really want to get into money psychology, the misinformation that you may see online, and even the total polarizing views around money and wealth building. Okay, because if you think back, like even myself being a zillennial, my parents would go and get financial advice from their neighbor, their parents, their family members. This is where, like in the Kesler family, we always joke around and say, stop getting advice from your broke-ass brother-in-law. Because, they didn't really have access to the tools and the resources that we have today, if you are within the Gen Z millennial generation. And specifically when it comes to the TikTok, the YouTube gurus, Instagram, financial advisors, politicians, influencers, sometimes even people with these credentials, they are giving out advice, which could be really great, but you got to think for yourself and question, is this advice something that will work for me in my life with my goals that I have for myself and my family? Because most of the time, a lot of us, we don't have the same goals, okay? My goals may be different than your goals and what you want to accomplish out of this lifetime. And that's okay. That's what is so beautiful about the country that we live here in America, is you have the freedom, you have the choices to decide, make your own decisions for yourself. And when we have all of this information just at our fingertips, sometimes we can get a little stagnant, maybe, scared, I guess, for lack of better words, about am I doing this correctly? Because there's so many different biases and different philosophies that are out there around our money. Hey, you should go put dollars into a 401k, go give them the absolute most match that you can, and it will be there for you during retirement age. Or no, 401ks are stupid. You should go and put your money into real estate because real estate is the only way that you can truly wealth build. Or no, F all of that. Y'all should be getting into cryptocurrency because of this new digital age and era that we're headed into. So there's so much of this information that's out there that we just don't even know where to start. You know what I mean? And so hopefully today's episode, it can give you some perspective of where should you start? How should I be talking to myself, my spouse, my family about where we're headed with our family finances? Because it's about protecting yourself from the bad information, because sometimes that bad information can lead to bad decisions, and it can truly lead to wiping out some decades of wealth that you've built for yourself up to this point, possibly. All right. And we also got to understand that everybody's different, Like I said, my goals may be different than you, and we could just be at different stages within our life. Being a 26-year-old female, where I'm at in life is different than a 65-year-old man. You know what I mean? And you got to put into perspective, where are you at right now? Do you have some college tuition coming up that you are prepping for? How are we going to pay for this? What are my different options? Maybe you are at the latter stages of life and you're planning for the retirement years. How can I really cultivate and craft this passive income and dollars coming into me, because I'm ready to start taking back the time life that I have and have built up to this point, because maybe I've been spending all these years climbing the corporate ladder. Or you could be a young adult, maybe you have your firstborn child on the way and you're reassessing your financial life because you're like, oh crap, there's going to be more expenses that are coming up. So everybody's going to be different at where they're at in their financial life, in their journey. And we really need to get in the know and just know that you do have your own authority and your own autonomy over your money and your financial life. But you got to also want it yourself. There's people out there who are so happy just giving away their money to their financial advisor and just letting them manage everything for themselves, which is okay. Hey, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. I can say that's not what I want to do. I want to have freedom and control over my money and my finances, because is money everything? No, heck no, it's not. I truly believe your relationships and your health is the ultimate importance, okay? Just living in this human experience. But money is a tool, it's a resource. It allows us to have the choices to determine, what do I want to do? What foods do I want to eat? Do I want to eat caviar every single day? It gives you the choices to, in my opinion, take back the time freedom for yourself, because time is the only resource we can't get back, my friends. And I just have a belief that if I can master this money game, it will allow me to have that time freedom where I can pack it up, pack Daisy and Momo, hop in the van, and we go travel the country. I mean, seriously, I was just with my grandparents, and we're very big outdoorsy people. I remember growing up and we would always just be camping somewhere. All right. It was either Disney or camping. That's the only things that we would ever do. And I was even talking with Grandma and Grandpa about Alaska, and I was like, how cool would it be to take the van all the way up to Alaska? I would love to do that. Never visited that great state, and it's beautiful from the pictures and videos that I see online, and it's just something that I want to do. But coming from Florida, it's a long truck up there, right? It's going to take me some time to get all the way to Alaska. And if I have a job that I got to clock into Monday through Friday, it just ain't gonna work, So people are just different, all right? You got to understand that everybody's different, and you need to get clear on your goals and make this a priority within your life, okay? I know a lot of the times we want to just be off, right? Once I clock out, I just want to be off. I want to sit my butt on the sofa, just kick my legs up. Or the weekend comes and I just want to go take the family out, or maybe we go out in the boat and we just chill all weekend. And that is okay. But in my opinion, you need to also prioritize your money and your financial life, because this is what allows you to have the freedom to sit your butt on the couch, kick your toes up, or go and get in the boat and spend the whole afternoon sunbathing, if you will. All right. So that's why I have a huge passion around money. It just allows me to have the freedom over my time with what I want to do. So let's kind of talk about why money feels more confusing than ever. Kind of touched on it, but we are in this digital era where there's so much information, and we can kind of get this information overload. And you start to Google certain searches, all right? Or you start to look up a video on YouTube of where's the market today, or what option should I be buying this week, all right? And when you start to even go on those Google searches, you kind of start to notice too, like your social media and Meta will start picking it up. And then you'll see that, oh, there's ads now. I'm getting these ads for these courses of how to do trading or how to get into real estate with none of my own money. And even with those social media algorithms can even go put you down a further rabbit hole of your searching. And you got to think to yourself, how do these people know this? Okay, vet your people, the folks that you're taking the advice from. Here's my first tip. Ask them, are they doing this within their own life? Are you actively practicing what you're preaching right now? And if they are, amazing. Tell me about it. What are the pros to this? What success have you seen? Where have you fell short at? What are some of the downtimes that you've had to get over implementing this product or this strategy that you're trying to share with me? And also, too, with online and social media, there's so many different biases on what you should be doing with your dollars, right? I mean, me coming from the infinite banking world and educating on IBC, there's all these polar opposite opinions of, well, you should just buy term and invest the difference. Whole life is a scam. You should be using an IUL to become your own banker. So many different opinions on that side, right? And even the opinions on the investing side. Right now, within our economy, a lot of people in the real estate space are saying, no, don't buy right now. You should just sit on cash. You look at Warren Buffett, what he's doing. He's just sitting on a whole bunch of cash right now. Real estate is just dead. Where other folks are saying this is the best time to buy. Real estate is the only way to build our wealth. Buy your Bitcoin. Never buy Bitcoin. All right. And it can get overwhelming. It can get confusing. This information is so abundant, but the wisdom is sometimes a little scarce. And I would just urge you, if you're going to take advice from some people, ask them if they truly are doing this within their own life. Because if they're not, why in the hell are they telling you to go do it? You know what I mean? So the internet really rewards the certainty and also like the consistency of content. And that's why sometimes the algorithm will pick up on it. But the internet's not there to check the accuracy of it. You know what I'm saying? What do they always say in the past days? Never trust everything that you see on the internet. I mean, there's some truth to that. And you can even find like those influencers. Like there's some folks with some huge channels and huge following, and they have this loud voice on the metaverse, but sometimes maybe those loud voices aren't always the smartest voices. I mean, shit, let's just take a look at what happened with the Brandon Turner stuff, where his investors lost, what was it? Was it 25 mil or was it 15 mil in that fund that I think it was 25 mil, where he was raising a whole bunch of capital for his fund that he bought the apartment complex in Houston. And because of the financing of the deal, he had to finance a large portion of it, then raise some capital from the investors. And he had different levels, like a Class A and Class B investors into that fund. And it just went south because it was a commercial loan. It wasn't like a traditional residential loan that a lot of us are used to. It had adjustable rates after 4 years. And so anyways, even just with that, he's a big voice out there. And even within that deal, everything looked great on paper, but people weren't looking totally behind the curtains, doing their own underwriting on that deal. So anyways, essentially what I'm saying is that the loudest voice is not always the smartest voice. So again, I say you need to think for yourself and question, all right? And this then kind of gets into, why are sometimes smart people still even getting fooled? I mean, you could be a really smart, great individual. Maybe you make a whole lot of money every year. Maybe you're super disciplined with your cash flow. You're super frugal, if you will. You keep a lot of that money that you're making. But money decisions and when folks spend their dollars, they a lot of the time do it out of emotion, okay, rather than logical and rational thinking. And I've fallen guilty to this, all right? There's a deal right now that I got myself into, and it's kind of going south. All right. This is investing, right? Investing, you can go up with your dollars or it can go down. There's some risk that's involved there. And a lot of the times our decisions when we go and spend our money is based a lot of on emotional spending. Okay. Even if you're super, super smart, you still have fear in the back of your mind where there may be some market crashes. Who knows? Maybe this recession is coming up. Inflation. Is inflation going to keep skyrocketing how it has been? Now that we got this new Fed chair guy in, Fed chair guy, that's what we're going to call him over here. Even him, what is he going to be doing for us within the Federal Reserve and our economy? So there's that fear component. There's also that greed component, A lot of folks, even like with your body, right? It's almost like a lot of the times that people will quit going to the gym is when they find themselves in this middle point where, okay, I lost some weight, but I'm kind of maintaining right now. And then they just quit and they give up and they don't continue to build and grow their muscles and eat clean because, this is just such hard work. I just want the easy route of it all. Y'all, stop taking the easy way out, okay? The best lessons, actually, you know what I'm thinking of? The quote, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. And I know that's so freaking cheesy, but y'all, isn't it so true though? You learn so much during that journey to get you to this goal that you're trying to accomplish rather than just, if I just had this pill that could just fix it all right now. It's not as meaningful to you. It's not as impactful. You don't learn those lessons and gain the wisdom that maybe you were supposed to learn going through it. I mean, that's why, honestly, I'm not a huge fan of the GP, what are they called? GHP 1 pills. Is that what it's called again? I don't know. It's been a huge thing on the internet, and I know a lot of you have heard about it, right? Especially in the influencer world, because I'm online. I like to watch my favorite YouTubers and different folks, but even just with that, I'm like, do we know the long-term effects of this? Anywho's, there's my ADD for you. But my smart people, sometimes you'll fall into the greed. You'll want the get rich quick kind of deal. You'll want the easy money. And that greed could kind of lead you down some paths that's maybe not the greatest. Yeah, could it work out the first time, the second time? Sure. But what happens in the third time? Okay, it's like when I was growing up and I was younger and, I was getting myself into trouble. And Dad would say, he would go, Hannah, you may not get caught this time or the next time, but if you keep doing it enough, there's a strong likelihood that you will get caught doing this. Thank you, Dad. I love you. So greed could kind of creep in and make your decisions. And even the authority biases, okay? The influencer said that, or Fox Financial said this, or Yahoo Finance said that, and this is what I should be doing because they have authority here and they know what they're talking about. That could kind of lead you to making some bad decisions. And even the decision of the masses and what the masses are doing. Hey, everybody else is doing it, so I should be doing it too. Like maxing out my 401k and putting money into the S&P because that's just what people do to build their wealth. And sometimes when the masses are doing it, it's easy to follow the masses and get yourself into the same position that they're in. Again, I just say think for yourself and question, do what works for you, your family, and y'all's financial life, because honestly, the fear and greed are expensive financial advisors. And I always say there's no mistakes. There could just be expensive lessons. And if I can avoid those expensive lessons, I'm going to try to take every precaution that I can. See what I'm saying? So I kind of wanted to give y'all 5 questions. All right, 5 questions that I would ask the other person, whomever you may be speaking with, If they're giving you some financial advice, here are 5 questions that you should be asking them. Number 1, who benefits from this? If I believe in this, who is going to be benefiting from this? And truly follow the money, okay? Even when it comes to the infinite banking concept, whole life insurance. Yeah, some agent is going to be making a commission buck, all right? That's just how the life insurance space operates. You've got to go through some agent to obtain a policy with them. Are they doing this in their own life? Okay. Follow the dollars and follow the money. Who benefits if I believe in this? Because it should be a win-win scenario. Hey, sorry to interrupt the episode here, but I want to take a quick break. If what you're hearing today has made you curious about infinite banking, how it works, I want you to go watch my free presentation. In it, I walk you through the same steps that my family took to pay off $984,000 of debt in 39 months, and how we've been able to recycle and recapture every single dollar since then. This isn't theory. This is real. I mean, this is what the wealthy have been using over 200 years to keep the money within the family. This is literally where banks, conventional banks, store a boatload of their dollars at. And it's the same process that we've helped thousands of families across the country put into action. So go to themoneymultiplier.com/presentation and see for yourself how you can start taking control of your money today. All right, let's get back into the episode. You do not have to have somebody lose in order for somebody else to win. You see what I'm saying? It should be a win-win scenario. I mean, people got to make a living. Yeah, financial advisors, they make a living making a percentage maybe on your portfolio. But are they doing the right calls on your behalf because it's best for you? I know even a lot of the times we got this, what's it called? I can never say this word. Fiduciary responsibility. That's not how you say it, but we're going with it. Those financial advisors have that responsibility to do the best on your behalf. But let's be real, some of these folks are greedy mother effers, and sometimes they may not be doing it to the best of you and your situation. So truly just think hard and follow the money. Who benefits in this if I believe this? And Mama TK is in my head right now. You know what she would say? You need to draw out a pros and cons list. Draw out your pros and cons list. She just said that to me last week. We're having some conversations about some stuff. She's like, have you made a pros and cons list about this? Okay, mother, I know you tell me like 9 times a day, you should be making pros and cons lists. Okay, I'll do it. But that's a good strategy, you know, just get your thoughts on paper and write out those pros and cons. If I get myself into this financial product or this strategy, what are the pros and cons of it? And that could lead you to making a good, accurate decision for yourself. Question number 2, what assumptions must be true for this advice to work? Okay, especially in investing. What are the market returns on this? Okay. Are you assessing not just the upswings of the market? Are you also assessing the downswings of it? So what are maybe the market returns that you're getting? You should also really be thinking about taxes, okay? You should really be looking at your portfolio after taxes. Where am I going to end up at? See, a lot of the times people will put their dollars into stuff and not even think about, oh shit, I also got to pay taxes on that money. All right, so it's not as great of a return as what I thought it was going to be. Especially like even just me in my life when I got deep into lending. Yeah, love lending, love the passive cash flow, but does not help me on my tax situation, right? So taxes are super important, and look at the returns after the taxes. And I'm not just talking about investing, y'all. I'm also talking about those retirement accounts that you do have, the 401ks, the IRAs, the annuities even, okay? After taxes, what is happening after you want to start taking out the distributions as well, okay? And interest rates, you can even throw interest rates in there. What assumptions must be true for this advice to work, okay? So just look at the whole picture. This is where like folks will use the term underwriting deals, okay? And just assessing a whole bunch of scenarios. And I would take the best case scenario and then also the worst case scenario to really identify, okay, does this work for me even if it does go totally south? What lanes, I'm thinking of like a bowling alley right now, and you know how the bowling alley, like you can put up the little bumpers. What are my bumpers that I have here that could protect me if the market goes down, taxes keep going up, interest rates maybe skyrocket, or maybe they do lower? What happens then? Okay. Now, question number 3, what are they not telling me? I actually got this from my father even. Dad, he straight up said one time, he's like, I don't trust anybody 100%. I trust people 99, excuse me, what, Hannah? I trust people 99.9% of the way maybe, but I never truly trust somebody 100% of the time, because he's built up some calluses over the course of his life, and especially within his money and his investment life. Like, people will have a big hat but no cattle, let me tell you. All right, and you can kind of build up some calluses because you're following this advice from somebody, but maybe you never had those hard, honest conversations, and you got to think to yourself, what are they not telling me right now? Because there are some trade-offs. I mean, in every strategy, there's going to be a trade-off. I mean, infinite banking, in the early years, you got to capitalize this system. You got to capitalize the policy. Sometimes you folks will come to me and you're breaking even every single month. And I'm like, no, you are not ready to start your infinite banking journey right now, because you need to capitalize, and you don't have the room to capitalize right now because of your cash flow. So all of these strategies have a trade-off, and we need to be asking, what are they not telling me right now? Really, what are the cons to this product or this strategy? Just ask those simple questions. I think it's a simple question, but sometimes we got to be reminded, because we just always want to think in the skies are blue, rainbows and unicorns are outside flying, and you need to also look at the other side of the coin, is what I'm saying. Question number 4, would I still do this if nobody else knew? Ooh, this one hits the ego. Keeping up with the Joneses, right? That whole ad that was running in 1913 for like 2 decades, keeping up with the Joneses. Would you still do this if nobody else knew? Even in like my designer purses, I have 3 designer purses and I love them. All right, because I'm a little fashionista. All right, if you see me on the screen, by the way, look at my cute new pearls. I got them at the art festival in Auburn last weekend when Tori and I were touring her schools. My niece is going to college, so we were touring some schools. Anyways, I'm a little fashionista is how I got on that topic, and I like my purses, okay? And if nobody else knew, would I still buy them? And honestly, because I'm a little bougie girl over here, the answer is yes. And there's even purses that I bought from somebody because they had a whole bunch of credit card debt and they were going to sell it to me super, super under market value. And I'm like, ooh, this is an investment now. We can buy it, use it for some time. Then when I want to go resell it, I'll just sell it for the same amount of money that I bought it for, Is that Delulu, Hannah? I don't know. You tell me. But really, I mean, if nobody else knew that you were doing this, would you still go and make that purchase? Okay? Ask yourself that question, because it truly does remove the ego. Sometimes y'all will be out there buying stuff, not because you want it or you like it. You just think you should be because everybody else may be doing it, or it'll make you look cooler or more fashionable or just better, right? And you start to keep up with the Joneses. So don't do that. Would you still be doing this if nobody else knew about it? Now, question number 5. Does this align with my goals? As I've been harping on like this whole entire episode, not Warren Buffett's goals, not Elon Musk's goals, your goals, not even Hannah Kesler's goals. What are your goals? Good advice for someone else can be terrible advice for you. Sum it up in a one-liner. Think for yourself and question. Does it align with you and with your goals? Let's kind of talk about how wealthy folks evaluate opportunities. Because it's all opportunities at the end of the day. The opportunity to, make more money, have more freedom. It's just all opportunities. You don't got to take every single opportunity. But how are these wealthy folks assessing these opportunities when it does come across their desk, LOL, desk. and these wealthy people, they ask, what is the downside? Okay, as I mentioned earlier on this episode, what is the downside if I do get myself into here? What is the tax treatment on this? What happens if I am wrong? Could I totally lose everything? Who controls this asset? They're not asking, oh, this is the hottest thing that's out there on the market right now. The wealthy spend more time protecting their wealth rather than chasing it. And I really want y'all to start getting into that mindset, because it doesn't matter how much you make, it only matters how much you keep. And a lot of y'all will put all of your money on red and not think about the downsides of what could happen there, because you're not protecting your money. You're just going out there and chasing the next new shiny object, the next new best thing. And wealthy people think in a risk-adjusted environment in those returns. What could the potential downside be here? Because the first goal is not making money. The first goal is to not lose it. Don't lose the wealth that you have. And I understand, yes, investing involves risk, but how can you protect yourself and hedge against that risk? That's what wealthy folks are asking about. Now, to really tie this into the infinite banking concept, because yes, that's what we talk about over here. And if you don't know what the infinite banking concept is, I would highly recommend read this black book here, Becoming Your Own Banker by R. Nelson Nash. Or you can even, here, let me grab it. You could send me an email. My nails make it hard to pick up things. Mapping Out the Millionaire Mystery. I will send you our ebook of this. It's a very easy read. I read this thing on a flight before, the whole entire thing. But send me an email. This would be a great resource too, to start understanding, what do you mean, Hannah, by becoming your own banker? That doesn't make any sense to me. Well, here's the high level. Instead of storing our wealth inside of other people's banks, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, following the masses, right? We are storing our dollars inside of our private banks. And what that private bank is, it's a specifically engineered whole life insurance policy. Okay, that's what I do. I have 8 of my own policies. This is just where I store my wealth at. And there's reasons that I store my wealth there. But let's even just talk about the misinformation when it comes to the infinite banking concept and whole life insurance just in general. A lot of the times people are saying, oh, it's a scam. I can say, like, my video where I was responding to Dave Ramsey's came out on my personal YouTube channel. You can go find that channel if you just search Hannah Kesler. I posted a video. It's about an 11-minute video responding to a Dave Ramsey's clip. And people are on there saying whole life is a scam. Oh, there's no way that you can design a policy to have immediate access to cash value. Yeah, you can. All right. Think for yourself and question. But folks saying that, oh, it's just a scam, it's just expensive life insurance, they're not fully understanding the mechanics when it's structured properly, okay? Even a whole life policy, even if it is just 100% base premium, it's still not a bad thing, okay? Because it's life insurance, all right? That's all that it is. It's life insurance. It's the death benefit protection. That's the whole reason that life insurance came about. The only thing that we do different over here is just attaching on the paid up additions rider so that you have immediate access to cash value, and then you can start leveraging against this appreciating asset, aka the whole life policy. Go back to my episode about 2 weeks ago where we talked about good debt versus bad debt. Okay, why and how are the wealthy using leverage good debt? But again, for this episode with misinformation, you got to be in the know on your goals, your discipline, your cash flow, because again, my goals may be different than your goals, okay? Even the misinformation around IBC of saying, oh, it's an investment. It's not an investment, okay? My definition of an investment is it involves risk. It can go up or it can go down. A whole life contract can never go down, can never lose value. There's a contractual guaranteed interest that insurance company has to pay me for the life of the contract. It's written inside of that policy contract. And I know that people like to look at products when they grow in value, that it's an investment, but an investment involves risk, okay? The only risk to all of this when it comes to IBC is you and how you use your policy. Who do you know better than you? All right? You're the only one who can screw this stuff up. The myth of you borrow your own money. Why would I pay interest to borrow my own money? That is just crazy. No, because you're not borrowing your own money, all right? You are borrowing the insurance company's money. You're putting your money up for collateral and taking a loan from the general funds of the insurance company. You are not borrowing your own money. And this is where we can go into the whole rabbit hole of uninterrupted compounding. That's what we're doing. We're getting on the right side of the compound interest. But no, you're not borrowing your own money, okay? That's why we are paying policy loan interest. And there's a difference. The guaranteed compounding interest versus the simple interest that we're paying on the policy loans, making sure that you pay your policy loan interest every year. Put a little asterisk next to that for my IBC vets. But that's why we're paying the loan interest, because we're not using our money. We're using the insurance company's general pool of funds. And the myth of that this replaces everything. No, it does not. This is just the foundation. Like there's not so many, but there's a few IBC practitioners even that are out there saying this is the end all be all. No, this is just the foundation to where we're warehousing and protecting the money. Remember, wealthy folks protect the capital that they have. So we are protecting our vault, our dollars that we currently have. And then through the system, that is how we go buy the different investments, long-term care, insurances like car, health, etc. insurances. Okay, so through this system is how we go buy other assets, if you will. Okay, even things that aren't assets. Okay, I could go use my policy money and go to Greece if I want to go do that, you know, but this does not replace everything that you're already doing. In my opinion, though, it's the foundation to my entire financial structure, if you will. And also the myth that it works for everybody. No, it doesn't work for everybody. Like I just said, you know, if you got a cash flow problem, you got a spending problem, no, this is not going to work for you. Even, you know, it's a privilege to own a whole life contract. It's not a right. And some folks, you know, you may not even can qualify for a whole life policy. So you got to go put the policy on somebody else. And maybe you don't have anybody else that you have an invested interest in. So even my folks were saying, oh, this works for everybody. It can, but you got to want it to work for you, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Most financial debates happen because people are solving different problems, and you truly can't evaluate a strategy properly if you don't understand what it's designed to do. So before you get into any financial product, you should just ask these questions. Ask these questions to the person who is giving you this advice or this information. and just have the honest conversations with them. Don't be scared. All right. Ask the questions. All right. Closed mouths don't get fed, my friends. You need to have your financial filter on. Okay. Before you believe anything, slow down. Just slow down. Take a breather. Slow down. Ask questions. Read opposing views. Look at the incentives, all right? And understand the trade-offs that you're getting into. And think long-term, all right? That's a big one, especially in our society and just societal pressures. We're not thinking long range. So you need to truly think long-term when you're walking into investments and anything money related, because the best investors aren't always the smartest. They're most of the time just the least emotional. And that's what you're missing. You need to remove the emotions out of the investment that you're walking into and just look at it with logical thinking and reasoning. Every strategy has its strengths, but every strategy also has its weaknesses. And I really want to talk specifically to my business owners, my high net worth individuals, my doctors, my chiropractors, some of you affluent real estate investors. The higher your income gets, the more expensive bad information can become. All right? Because a bad decision when you're looking at 50 grand is a little different than when you're walking into a deal at $500,000. So we need to look at the tax information on some of these investments. Are you even structured properly? That was the big thing. Y'all, I actually lost 75 grand because I was not structured properly. I thought I was following advice from trusted people, but I didn't ask the hard conversations. I was just going with the flow. Oh, they know what they're doing because they are the experts in this space. No, they're not. You need to go and do your own homework and research. And truly, I lost 75 grand because I did not do my own homework. And yeah, it sucks. But again, there's no mistakes. There's just expensive lessons. So now that I've learned that lesson, I know how to pivot and move forward now. Even like just with estate planning, okay? Estate planning and even liquidity misinformation. Sometimes a lot of y'all are even putting dollars away into trusts that you can never have access to. And maybe you know that, but maybe you don't. But you need to ask the information. And this is kind of where, like, you know, AI is really cool. You can ask Chat, ask Gemini, ask Claude, you know, whatever your platform is that you like. This is kind of cool where AI does get involved, where you can ask these specific questions too to kind of help you make informed decisions. But even AI, okay, I get the wackiest questions when it comes to IBC. I'm like, I can tell this is not your question. I can tell that you put this information into Chat and now you're asking me this question that Chat wants you to ask me, which is fine. I'll answer it, but you're going down a whole other rabbit hole that you really don't need to be going down. So let me kind of help you here, right? And it's just because I'm giving the feedback of I'm walking the same path as you. I'm doing this along with you, okay? And you don't got to take my advice if you don't want to take it. At the end of the day, it's your decision, your money, your financial life. Ain't no one going to care more about your financial life than what you do, but take a little priority over it, okay? Because as your wealth continues to grow, protecting your thinking becomes more valuable than just growing your income. The wealthiest people that I know, some of that information, they have to filter it first, okay? So like I said, you got to slow down. Don't just act out of emotion. Really breathe and ask the questions that you should be asking and have a logical brain on. And I just challenge y'all, okay? What financial belief do you hold that you've never challenged? Maybe like those retirement accounts. What if the thing you've been told for 20 years isn't wrong, but it's just not complete, okay? Infinite banking, whole life insurance. What financial advice are you following simply because everyone else is doing it? Investing into the stock market, just buying the big old brands that you know of, like Apple and Tesla. I mean, I'm not saying that all this stuff is terrible or bad, but why are you doing it? Is it because you actually believe in it? You know what you're doing, or are you just following what the masses do? The greatest investment that you'll ever make isn't stocks, real estate, Bitcoin, or even infinite banking. It's your ability to think independently. Think for yourself. Because once you learn how to think about money, you'll never have to rely on someone else to think for you. And I think I just want to end the episode on that. So I'm proud of y'all for making it this far in the episode. If you have questions for me, all right, like I said, I'm not a financial advisor, but I'm happy to have those buddy conversations with you. All right, I speak to what I know, and what I know is real estate and infinite banking. That's what I do. If you want to talk about options, you want to talk about other real estate classes, Airbnbs, RALs, multifamily. I mean, I'll turn you on to those people who I have vetted and I trust within those space, but I ain't going to sit here and try and give you advice on something that I don't know about. You know what I mean? But you can always find me. If you want to send me an email, send it to Hannah, spell the same way as forwards as backwards, hannah@themoneymultiplier.com. You'll find me on there. And until next week, just a reminder, hit the like button, subscribe to the podcast, and let me know your thoughts. What are you doing right now within your financial life? Could you make some improvements? Are you tracking your stats? Are you tracking your cash flow? Just some little questions to think about. But until next week, do well, be good. Don't do anything that I wouldn't do, Money Multiplier family. Until then, mwah, love y'all. Hey y'all, if you've made it this far, this is where most people stop, and that's why they continue to be stuck with their money. Continue on with your education. Click right here. It'll take you to the next video.